Welcome to Toffee TV. It is Day Live Extra. Rafael Benitez has just done his press conference ahead of tomorrow's game at Hull City in the FA Cup, and some interesting bits come out of it, especially on Lucas Digne situation. Some interesting quotes from Rafael Benitez on the situation, basically confirming that Lucas Digne wants to leave Everton. But I think the quote that is, I don't know if it's got people upset, but you know the big quote from it was Rafa Benitez saying on Lucas Digne, I think he was very clear. I want to ask a question to any fan or former player. What Peter Reid will say if a player doesn't want to be here. He told me what he thought. So what do you expect the manager to do? I thought that's a weird thing to say, bringing somebody like an ex-Everton player, an Everton legend into the conversation. That was a weird thing to say, because I think I understand what he's saying. I think he's trying to say, what position does this leave us in? This is something that me and Baz have spoke about during the week about. We don't actually think Lucas Digne leaving the club's a bad thing, but it's become a fight between Rafa Benitez and Lucas Digne, so fans are going to pick Lucas Digne's side. But I think this is something similar. You've brought Peter Reid into the conversation. I don't know why you do that, because people will jump on that because Peter Reid said something the other day, and I don't know if the manager's referencing this, but Peter Reid mentioned something the other day where he said the club is basically a mess. He doesn't understand the direction the club's going in. Now, is Rafa Benitez referring to that and saying, well, what would he do if he had a player? And in the whole thing, Rafa Benitez is probably right, as in, if a player says he wants to leave, then we've got to get rid of him. And if he's got a bad attitude and he's, not training properly, and I've got other players who are prepared to give everything and he's not, then I have to do something about it. I just think it's weird and it's very strange. I think he just says things that just rub people up the wrong way instead of explaining himself, and it comes off really bad. And I just sometimes, you're not new to the country. You've been here long enough to know that your words are gonna, the way you put things across is gonna cause division and conflict. And he obviously understands social media and how things written down can seem a lot worse than things said. And I just thought that was a very bizarre thing to say, because I think as a manager, he needs to win hearts and minds of the fans, whether people like him or not. One thing, but I think you have to get that, you have to create something that fans can get behind and go, well, forget the manager, we're going to get behind the team. Things are getting done the right way. We don't like the manager, but things are getting done. I mean, don't get me wrong, points, winning games of football is the biggest thing in that. That will always be the biggest thing if Everton are winning games of football. You're not too arsed what's going on or who's in the dugout if they're winning games. It's when they're not winning games. I just felt like it was just a strange thing to say. I don't think it was needed. I think if he just said, Lucas Digne doesn't want to be here, he's stated that, and we've bought his replacements, and, what do you expect me to do? Then I think that'd be enough. I just thought that was very strange, bringing in Peter Reid's name. It's just like, it just then, because I've looked on social media, and there is people are saying, well, he's bringing it in to say they're the standards of the club and Peter Reid, but that's fine. But there's other people saying, why, because Peter Reid's had to go with him. That's what it creates. It creates a conflict. It creates the conflict of between people, because he said something which is just stupid. As I said, I'll read out the quote again. He says, I think he was very clear. I want to ask a question to any fan or former player, or what Peter Reid would say if a player doesn't want to be here. He told me what he thought, so what do you expect the manager to do? So what he's saying is, right, what he's saying is, the player has told me he doesn't want to be here. What would a fan or a former player, and then he mentions Peter Reid, do? And so what he's saying is, if a player told you didn't want to be here, as a fan, what would you say? But by throwing Peter Reid's name in, he's just made it like weirdly about one certain ex-player. I don't get that. Whereas the quote on its own is fine. He's saying, if someone tells you he doesn't want to be at Everton Football Club, how would you think as a fan? And that's fine. If he just said that, I think that would be fine. Because he's absolutely right. If a player doesn't want to be at Everton Football Club and isn't given everything for Everton Football Club, then he shouldn't be at Everton Football Club. He should be replaced. I just thought that was weird. I just thought he just creates problems for himself. Peter Reid, basically on the 2nd of January, after the match on Sunday, said, major problems at Goodison Park, huge concerns about the direction of the football club. And I don't think he's tweeted anything since then. So, I just, whichever, it doesn't, I understand people will come down on the side of the manager. And I have no problem with that. I just find it slightly bizarre that he put Peter Reid's name in it, because he's almost suggesting, then the minute he puts his name in it, he's basically saying, you're wrong for what you've said about this club. And people don't like Rafa Benitez, and they love Peter Reid, and they're just going to go and defend Peter Reid, and it just creates something that doesn't need to be created. I think that's the overall point. It's a very, very bizarre thing to say. If he just said ex-players and left it at that, but he's picked a fight, and that's just bizarre, because he's not in the position to pick fights with anybody. He should be keeping his head down and talking about the new signings we've got and the new optimism. What's mad is the manager's probably absolutely right in what he's saying about Lucas Digne. He's not doing it. He's not working hard. He's not as dedicated as other people. So he's probably 100% right in what he's just said. And yeah, the whole conversation now has been hijacked by what he said. Bizarre. Very, very bizarre. He's created something, I'm looking at social media and I'm just seeing the people who are talking about it. And those things don't need to be brought into it. Mitchell Balson on the Super Chat says, Peg Coutinho's going to do bits of Villa. Right, well, is he? Let's see. I'm not really bothered either way, if I'm honest. They want him. They've got a loan with a loan to buy, haven't they? So let's see what happens. If he does, he does. I'll be honest, I'm not really asked at this point. I just want to win games of football. And get up that table. Bluno says the same players through the past two managers under Bush. Yes, Carlo left, but they should have finished fourth without a manager last season. Players are not good enough. Players are not good enough. I can't reiterate that enough. The players aren't good enough, and they're just not good enough. And the managers hinted at that. Carlo Ancelotti hinted at that. They're not good enough. I don't think they're good enough. And I think you've seen the managers struggling. Struggling with that. Chris Graham says, I think you're reading a touch into it, Ped. He's just responding to Reid's criticism. Yeah, but that's the point. That's what I'm saying. Don't respond to Reid's criticism. Stay away from it. Don't respond to anybody's criticism. You're a grown man. You're a football manager of a Premier League club. Stay away from it. Don't get involved. Don't get involved with a spat with anybody because the fans are always going to come down on the legend's side. It's the same thing with Digne. I've been watching it all week. Fans are taking Digne's side, and what the manager said today is basically you should not be taking Digne's side on this. And he's got a point if that's the case. But the minute he brought Reid's name into it, he's saying, and you're wrong as well, Peter Reid. And it's like, no, just if Peter Reid wants to say something on social media, leave him to it. Don't get involved. You're the manager. Don't get involved in a stupid little spat. You know, who is that? Yeah, Yarlish says, Ped, would you take back Garner? I would take back Garner. I'd 100% have him on loan for the rest of the season if there was a chance. I think him and sit in front of our back four with Allen and Decore in front of them would be huge for us. Would be huge. So I'd be all day with that if that was something that could happen. I think he's the player we've missed for the last 2 seasons. He's been a huge miss. Seamus says, Pep, what happens if he goes against Hull? Does he walk? He ain't going to walk. Is he sacked? I don't know. There's an international break at the end of this month. That might be, if it was ever going to happen, that might be the time for it to happen. I'd say. Because we play Hull, then we play Leicester, then we play Norwich. Big games. Then think we got Villa after that. Yeah, and then there's an international break, I think. So probably that international break, but I don't know. Doesn't seem like he's in any danger. Jordan says it feels weird, Pep. We are getting Benitez the players he wants. Yet we are. If we lose tomorrow, I feel like his job is untenable. It is a very, very strange situation, isn't it? It's a very strange situation we're in, where he's brought in a couple of players, yet people feel like he'll go. Jeff says, "Is this pathetic? Our fans crying over a press conference." Yeah, but he said it, hasn't he? We don't need division at the club, and I think you just keep your head down and get on with it. Put it this way, right? This is a manager who's won 1 game since September. Get your head down and just get on with it. Just get your head down and get on with it. Simple as that. Matthew Barry said, I rewatched the presser. I think Benitez is trying to use Peter Reid as an example of someone that gave all for their club and comparing to Digne not wanting to give us all. That said, it's still a massive mess. Matt, I agree, mate. I agree, but the problem is just don't say anything about put it this way, people put 2 and 2 together, don't they? The simple fact is Peter Reid said on Sunday that the club was a mess, basically. And people would put 2 and 2 together. Don't get involved. Stay away from me. You're a manager who's won 1 game since January. Get on with your own stuff. Highlight the positives. Just stay away, because all it does is create division, and this football club doesn't need division. It's as simple as that. And he probably he might have been saying something. He might have been saying nice things about Peter Reid, but unfortunately, it's not interpreted like that. Paul says, weird, yes, but don't think it's a pop at Reid as such, and I'm with Benitez on this if player wants to see it. Paul, you're absolutely right. You're spot on. He was absolutely spot on what he was saying about Lucas Digne. We're talking about it now. We're talking about it. That because he's mentioned it. Because I'm looking at social media, I'm seeing what it's creating. Dick Hell says, if we exit the FA Cup like the BBC expect us tomorrow, do you think Rafa has to go? Honestly, not against Rafa in general, but this run of games is simply unacceptable. We must set some sort of standard. Yeah, but we've got to win, haven't we? Got to win. Have to win tomorrow. Simple as that. I don't know whether if we not winning would be the end of them. I really don't know. Because there doesn't seem to be any signs. They've signed. I know this week's players, the players we've signed this week are players that we've been looking at for a while. So people can say, well, are they his players? Does he just agree to have them because they've been looked at for a while? The young, if a manager went, it wouldn't really matter because the next manager would take them on. I don't know. Russell says, great shows doing these low times. Do you believe that Benitez selection tactics in certain games is him playing politics with the board and media rather than picking the best team for the job? For example, picking Coleman at left wing back was a show to the board that he needed a left back. Yeah, but we had a left back when he played Coleman at left back and playing Kabama in midfield too against to show people he isn't good enough. No, I don't think you can afford to do that. I think what if Coleman playing left wing back was more likely to be saying to us as fans, this fella will have a go today, whereas the left back sitting on the bench that you all want to play won't. I think that's what it was. The Gabaman thing, I've got no idea. I just think he got it completely wrong. Maybe he thought throwing him in would somehow get him going, but he should have put him in a 3 rather than a 2. I think that's where he got it wrong. Paz says no problem with what he said about Reedy. I understand the point he's trying to make. Fair enough, but a lot of people don't. Terry says my reading of the press conference was that he tried to use Peter Reid as a proper Evertonian and asked, what would you do in my shoes? I don't think he was criticising Reid. When the wheels came off was when he started being a massive hypocrite, saying he doesn't care about stats when he was throwing running stats out after losing Liverpool and somehow was the best team after playing Coleman at left wing back. He may not have had a dig at Reid, but they definitely had a dig at Carlo, a manager who did much better than he is doing. No, listen, Terry, it might not have been. It might not have been a dig at Reid, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it was a dig at Reid. What I'm saying is, I just don't think it was required. I don't think it was needed. I don't think he got it over. Put it this way: if you have to have a conversation about what someone has just said, I don't think he got it over well enough. To for that. Ryan says, I only hope that this is what the club needs long term. Rip it up and start again. Feel pain now and build for the future. I hope they pray that's the case. Dick says to me, the players we signed this week seem like players who will develop and help us in the long term. They do not seem like players to help Rafa get results right now. No, I disagree with that. I think the left back has played Champions League football. He's played international football. He played in the Euros. You know, he's 22, I think, isn't he? I think he needs to bed in a little bit, but I think he is. Patterson maybe needs a little bit more time, but both have played European football. So, in European competitions. So I don't think they're not kids. They're not like 16-year-olds who are going to take a year. I think they are signed for now. Might take a little bit of toing and froing, but I do think that we're going to see a lot of them this season. Carl says this club will never take success unless there are major changes at the board level. There has been major changes. Game Sharp's on the board. But he says Rafa needs to go. Never felt so apart from this club ever. Jordan says, pees me off that the media say our fans were never going to give Benitez a chance. Form is worse than the end of Silva's reign. Football is worse, and the fans still give it more than to the board than Rafa. Jeff says, I never wanted Benitez, but how he talks doesn't matter to me. Getting our squad rebuilt is all I care about. Well, no, getting points is what I care about. That's what I care about. But I don't. What I'm saying is, it does matter how he speaks. It does matter how he speaks because it winds people up. I think it's important that he is the Everton manager, and if Everton fans don't like him, then that's a major problem. That's a major problem. Bruno says the form has been so bad. What is Rafa supposed to do with this squad? I mean, I don't think this is a very bad. I don't think I don't think this is a very, very good squad at all. And I know we've had injuries, but we've had one win since September, and we've played Wolves and Brentford and West Ham at home and Watford at home, and Crystal Palace and Brighton. Are they really, really terrifying names? You know, I think, you know, there's you can't sit. The squad's bad. I get that. I've said that since day one. But I think you've got to be like, you know, look at it and think, well, he should have done better, found ways to be better. Richie says, isn't this part of the problem with Benitez? It's all about him and his image. He needs to be talking about how we are trying to win games, not anything else. He's putting Digne on the bench for Sunday, which is playing childish. I don't think it was childish, because I think they're protecting the asset, because they knew he was going to go. But I think if you're saying put him on the bench rather than leave him out, then maybe you're right. I think you may be right. Carl says, look at what Carlo did with this squad. What did he do? Finished 10th. Just putting it out there. Arjun says, today Rafa Benitez assured everyone that he's not going to take any responsibility, and that's enough reason to sack him. No idea on any of the injury situation, because he didn't give any. Didn't give any updates. He didn't give any updates on the injury situation. Chris said surely could have just refused. Hang on, where's that comment gone? The comments are absolutely flying and gone. Hang on. Surely could have refused to comment instead of go on a rant. He has just reduced Digne's value. Well, that's another thing. By saying that Digne wants to go, technically, you know, he has reduced his value, because he's, you know, says he wants to go. Someone will come in now and say, oh, you need to sell him. We'll give you this much. You're going to have to take it. Carl says, at least we are strong at the back. Brew Rumba says, the main argument in favour of Rafa's stability, by the way, 15th in the league, and he gives a press conference like that today. Mitchell says, $500,000 a season paid to sell France's best left back. I've no idea what that means. $500,000 a season. I don't think he is France's best left back, by the way. I think he's their second best left back. The thing is, if it was another manager and he came out and he said, oh, hang on. Peter Reid says, I didn't take what Rafa said as a dig. If Digne wanted to play for Everton and wanted to move, he would not have made the bench. There you go. If Digne didn't want to play for Everton and wanted to move, he would not have made the bench. There you go. That's what Peter Reid said. As I said, just no need to bring him into the conversation. Joe says the manager digs a deeper hole the longer it goes on. He's just got to win some games, starting with tomorrow, hasn't he? Super Murdoch 7 says the ball keeps saying, what, the second half of the season, how long do you keep believing that? If we keep losing, change needs to happen now. As I said, there's an international break at the end of the month. If you're going to do something, that might be the best time. Everton Blues says Marcus should be our manager again. No. Marcus Silva, no. Sorry. No. Someone who just sits mumbling about decisions and stuff like that. No. He brought a terrible, terrible assistant manager to Everton Football Club. Yeah. As I said, I don't really have a problem with what Rafa Benitez is saying about Digne, because I think it rings true. You know, that I think it rings true that Digne has down tools in a way, and he's had his issues with Rafa Benitez, and I think if it was any other manager, I think if it was a manager we liked, I don't think we'd have any problem backing the manager over a player when these players have been dross. I just don't think it was needed that today. I think what he said was spot on, but I just don't understand why he brought Peter Reid's name into it. As I said, it just creates division, and that we don't need division. What we need is unity. The manager doesn't exactly inspire unity. He's not bringing us together, but that's what we need. We need someone who can bring us together. The board isn't bringing us together. The manager isn't bringing us together. The players aren't bringing us together. So I suppose it starts with the players on the pitch. If they can start having some performances. You seen at the end of the Chelsea game when the players went over to the fans, the players had worked their bollocks off and had put in a great performance, a hard-working performance. And they were applauded for it. And Benitez just stayed at the back and he just clapped. And that's what fans want. Fans just want to see players work hard and get rid of all the other stuff. Get rid of all, everything else. X-Floor says 3 games for Rafa to do something with the new players. Thanks for the super chat, mate. Yeah, I think that international break could be key. It could be key. I think we just got to look forward. I think we just have to look forward, as in Rafa Benitez is our manager, and hopefully we win tomorrow, and then hopefully we beat Leicester, and then hopefully we beat Norwich. And this thing of he needs to get the sack, and it's just tiresome, isn't it? It's just that we're in flux again, where we've just bought a couple of new players and we're looking to buy more players this month. We just always seem to be in flux, and we just need some kind of unity. We just need the fans all pulling in the same direction, the club pulling in the same direction. And I just don't think things like today help. I really don't. I really don't. Gerard Smith, thanks for the super chat, although you've not put anything on it. Jay Dunn says, Andy says, we all knew Benitez would not last long as Everton manager, and we all know we'll need to replace the manager next 6 to 12 months. So for me, it's key we identify the next manager and make the change ASAP. I don't think we all did think that. I thought we'd have him for... to me, I never thought he was going to pull up any trees. I always thought for the next 3 years, he'd have a stable for moving into the new stadium. And I think that's why they brought him in. Simple as that. So I never bought into the whole sacked by Christmas thing. But so far the rain has been appalling, let's be honest. It's been appalling. Sharon Blues TV says no one in the fan base likes him. He's hated. And that's the problem, isn't it? Brian says failed to beat Norwich and Benitez will be gone. Jack says, yeah, we do need unity, but that will never happen under Benitez. No, that's but it would start. We'd have, at least if we had unity behind the players, that would be a start, wouldn't it? That would just be a start if the players were doing their job. That would be a start. Would you rather have Ole Gunnar? No, I wouldn't. What a terrible shout. Jay Dunn says give Rafa the transfer window. Mitchell says we don't want fancy footy, we want dogs of war. Well, dogs of war, have you said? It's simple, we've been calling it forever. You just want passion. You want players who work hard. And then you add the quality on top. And suddenly you have a team that is fighting for you every week. That's all like West Ham are. Teams like that. They go out there and fight they go out and fight for a victory. And fight for the fans. We'll see a difference when Mina and Richarlison back. But Mina's always injured. You can't sit here going, we'll see a difference when these players are back. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Seamus says, Ped, what if Hull give us a proper beating? How will you feel about him then? Well, you don't know how I feel about him now. So Hull are 19th in the championship, I think. So if they give us a proper beating... I mean, has anyone give us a proper beating this season? I don't think they have, really. Last 10 minutes against Watford and Liverpool because they're a good side. And Man City because they're a good side. I don't think anyone else would give us a proper beating. Jay Bunn says he likes hot dogs, and I think that's a very important statement for the day. Jeff says Benitez is not a blue. He doesn't know what the club means to us. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does know what the club means to us because we're football fans, and most football fans feel the same about their football clubs. What he can't seem to do is he can't seem to articulate the job he's trying to do, and he can't articulate what he wants to do and what the problems are because the communication from the club is terrible. Like, I know he did an interview yesterday, but like he's in the press conferences because it's journalists ask him. He's very spiky. I don't know whether that's the kind of interview you should be doing, obviously, but when it's in the press conferences, when people ask him difficult questions, because he deserves difficult questions, we're in January, you know, FA Cup, people calling for his job and all the rest of it. He's very, very spiky, very, very spiky, and I know he was like this at Liverpool. I know people said he'd be like this. He creates division and stuff. So Jordan says, I want Dunk to have the crack at the job. It was lucky to once beat him for about 10-15 minutes. No, hang on. And the thing about him being a 4-4-2 Dogs of War merchant is wrong. He's a very smart football guy. He is. A lot of people have got a completely the wrong idea about Dunk. Bruno says we're just ashamed of where we are, but won't blame any player or the board. It's all Rafa's fault. Get out of here with that. What are you talking about? Literally fans did a walkout against Arsenal about the board, and people just sat there and didn't do anything, and then had to go at all the lads and girls who did go out. That's what's wrong with this football club, is that people moan, and then when someone actually does something about it, people just sit there having a go at them. Oh, can't you do something else? Well, they did do something else. They tried to walk out and people just sat down and didn't do anything and then complain on social media that no one's doing anything about it. That's the problem. That's the problem with our club, is that fans can do something and don't do something. X-Floor's preference for the lineup versus Hull, also centre-back on number 10. Well, we need a centre-back, and I'm going to do my starting 11 show straight after this, so that's when I'll tell you when we're doing that. The fans tried to do something again, and the majority of the fans couldn't be arsed doing it. They tried to make a statement against Arsenal by walking out on the 27th minute, and people had a go at them. Simple as that. Whether you agree or you don't agree, that's what happened. And it was about the board. Kierod says, massive fan from New Zealand. Much love. Everton sent me a signed flag from the first team. I'm up for every game at 3 a.m. Good stuff. Yeah, I don't know if I'd get up for Everton at 3 a.m, so you're doing brilliantly there, mate. I don't think I could get up at 3 a.m. JT says, I think Duncan is the only manager to unite the fans. I completely agree. Mitchell said, I was coached by Dunk as a taster day for Tiber in Toxteth. He likes football in the ground. He does. I've saying this a million times. Duncan wants to play proper good football on the deck, Everton kind of football. But people won't listen because they think he's a long ball merchant for some reason. Paul says, correct. Ped, people moan in the pub, then do nothing about it. I was one of those many who went downstairs. Good on you, mate. Good on you. Steve says we don't even have a number 10 in the squad. Yeah, he's obsessed with playing with one. His stubbornness will cost him his job. Dazimi says, I don't mind Rafa calling players out. I don't mind them calling players out. I honestly don't. Joe says, is this your full-time job, Ped? It is. Yes, it is my full-time job. I love the channel and watch every video. Thank you, Joe. If you want more videos, go over to Patreon. If you want more videos, it's only £3 a month. Power of the People says, Duncan Ferguson not the answer. How do you know? How do you know he's not the answer? We've tried everything else. We've tried everything else. We've tried every other kind of manager. We've tried experienced managers that have won the Champions League. 2. This is the second one. Young and up-and-coming manager, Silva, didn't work. Old school manager in Sam Allardyce. A legend footballer as the manager. Not our legend, but, you know. And Koeman. So, I know it's maybe a different conversation, but it does wind me up when people have a go at Dunk for stuff they don't really know. But he says Don McCavan isn't going to be resting his Hull while he navigates 4 months out. He literally just played 94 minutes a few days ago. Yeah. Well, it'd be stupid to play him, wouldn't it? Kieran says, yeah, I agree. That's Ped for bringing the Blues together. I watch all the shows. It's really good insight from Toffee so far. Like I am, I will join Patreon. Thanks, mate. It's better to join Patreon than it is to give Super Chats. I'll tell you that now. You get more for your money. Because me and Baz will be back at 5 o'clock. We'll be back at 5 o'clock to do another show live. Just for the patrons. And there's an opposition preview on there now. Johnny says Martinez wanted to play good football. He was Martinez. His first season was brilliant. His second and his third were terrible. And I know people go, we got us to 2 semi-finals. And what? What's a semi-final do? His stubbornness was ridiculous. Dunk does have experience. He does have experience. He's been a coach for 6 years. He's got every badge that is needed or you can get. He knows who he wants. He knows what he wants. And that's experience. No one other countries, that's experience. How did Thomas Tuchel become a football manager? How did Jurgen Klopp become a football manager? How did Pep Guardiola become a football manager? Because somebody gave him a job. Where did Pep Guardiola manage before he managed Barcelona? You know, Tuchel and Klopp came out of Mainz, Dortmund, and then on to their jobs. This idea that any manager has to go and manage, like Rotherham or someone, before they can go and manage a club is mad. They're mad. Where was Rafa Benitez, the manager? Where was he? Like, what was he doing before he went to Valencia? Like, where do you think these people get their experience? They coach. Coaching is part of the job, and then picking a team and being tactically astute. They're the requirements for being the manager of a football club. All the other stuff's taken out your hands now. You know, you have recruitment teams. You have people bringing you players, saying you want this kind of players. You know. And Kev, I mean, you couldn't be any more wrong. You couldn't be any more wrong. Listen, people can believe what they want. How do coaches become managers? How does it happen? Because they get given a chance. They get given a chance. And that's for anybody. That's for anybody. That's anybody out there. What was Wayne Rooney doing before he became manager at Derby? What was Frank Lampard doing? What was Steven Gerrard doing before he went to Rangers? Imagine being a Rangers fan and being told that you were going to get your next manager was going to be the Liverpool under-18s coach. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But there are many different paths. Many different paths. Someone's mentioned there, Graham Potter. Yeah, he went to university, then he went to Sweden, and then up and up and up and up. He's done it in a very different way. The point being, Arteta was the assistant manager of Manchester City. Gone to Arsenal, knows exactly what he wants. Where are Arsenal on the table, by the way? What makes Arteta and Duncan Ferguson different? Because of the different style of way they played football. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anyone's wrong or I'm right. I'm just saying be a bit more open-minded about it. That's all I'm saying. And Scotland might be a 2-horse race. That's not what I'm saying. Steven Gerrard was the coach of the under-18s at Liverpool and then became the manager at Rangers and now is the manager at Aston Villa. So what qualifications did he have to be a football manager? What are the qualifications for being a football manager? Because the qualifications for being a football manager are being a football manager, aren't they? Simple as that. That you get thrown into the job and it's sink or swim. Arsenal did not have a proper squad. That is nonsense. That is absolutely nonsense. We went to Arsenal last year and beat them. That is utter nonsense. Arteta has gone in there with his own ideas and he's got rid of all the senior players and brought in young players. Kira, thank you, mate. Thank you for joining Patreon. That's what I'm saying. It's not. Duncan Ferguson could be given the Everton job to the end of the season, and he mightn't be very good, or he might be brilliant. We've just brought in a manager who won the Champions League, and he hasn't done any. He's been terrible. Carlo he's won multiple Champions League, and he was so. It's about how your football club, how someone makes you feel about your football club. I think, anyway. I think if you have a fella in charge who, at the end of the season, I'm going to go in 5 minutes, by the way, but at the end of the season, if Everton said we're getting rid of Rafa Benitez, or, I don't know, in 2 months, or in a month, or in 3 weeks, and Everton said, right, we're looking for a new manager, we're going to get Wayne Rooney, right? Wayne Rooney's had a year at Derby, hasn't he? So does he have the qualifications to be Everton manager because he's been the Derby manager for a year? Or does someone who's been a coach at Everton for 6 years, knows the ins and outs of all the people, all the players at the club, does he have it? Well, hang on, Chris. I'm not thinking with my heart. Because I've spoke to the man, right? And who is the long-term manager? You talk about Potter, right? And people go, Potter? What's Potter done? What is he? Does he unite the fans? To me, I think he's a great coach. I don't know if he's completely suited for Everton. But it's like he feels like another Martinez in a way, only because he doesn't. His idea, his brand of football, I don't think it's not exactly what we get behind. And I'm not trying to say he's wrong. What I'm saying is that everybody finds fault in every manager. We could go out and find the best. We're not going to. There's only a particular level of manager that Everton Football Club can get, isn't it? We're not going to get. Someone said the other day, go and get Ajax manager. I was like, are you mental? As if the Ajax manager's going to come to us. Like, his next club is going to be Champions League team, a big Champions League team. Right? So we're going to only get a certain kind of manager, I think, for the time being. And we've had those kind of managers. So what I'm saying, it's like there's only a particular kind of manager we're going to get, and nobody coming in is going to go, look at the summer, right? There was 5 or 6 names. 5 or 6 names, and nobody could agree on them. And we ended up getting Rafa Benitez. And when you mention Graham Potter to people, it was like, no, he wouldn't last 5 minutes at Everton. He hasn't got the bottle to handle Everton and all this. And that's it, isn't it? Sorry, I'm just laughing at all the Baz mentions. Imagine if Baz is watching this and people are calling me Baz. Everton is a very particular club in a very particular set of circumstances. And I don't know who's right, because it's like getting a manager, it's like getting a player. You never know till you start doing the job. Nothing is certain in football. Certainly not certain at Everton. You could get the world's best player at Everton and we'd somehow mess it up. There you go. Get Peter Reid in. He could do the job. Now, let's just get a win tomorrow. Get a win on Tuesday. And we'll go from there. Hey. We'll all feel a little bit... Nothing's going to start settling down till we look at the league table and go, yeah, we're all right now. We're all right. In terms of managers, I don't know. Because I don't know. Some loads want Dunk, loads don't want Dunk. There's I mentioned Arteta before. I know Baz isn't a major fan of Arteta. But Arteta was in exactly the same position that Dunk's in now. And whether you like Arteta or you don't like Arteta, he's gone into Arsenal and he's grabbed hold of it and gone, I'm sorting this club out. I know who all the knobheads are and I'm going to get rid of all the knobheads and they're going out the door and I'm going to bring my own players in. And they're benefiting from it now, whether you think they're a good team or not. They're benefiting from getting rid of all the knobheads and bringing in young, hungry players who want to play for Arsenal. And they've got an identity now. And Arsenal fans can watch Arsenal now and go, I like this set of players. Isn't that all we want? Isn't that all we want as football fans? Is to look at the players on the pitch and go, I like these lads. These lads give everything for us every single week. Isn't that all we want? That's all I want as a football fan. Because that's the first step into going on to do anything and winning games of football and winning trophies, is that you watch your players and go, I like these. These run through brick walls for me. I like these fellas. And I think that's the case. And maybe, listen, Rafa Benitez might have already started identifying all the knobheads. And one of them might be Lucas Digne. He might be Lucas Digne. And fair play to you. But don't bring Peter Reid's name into it, because you're just creating your own little problems there. So, and that's why what I like about Dunk is, I think if he had to come in. Listen, I don't want to sack Rafa Benitez, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't want Everton to lose any more games. Dead simple. I don't want Everton to lose games of football. Therefore, I don't want to sack the manager. Dead simple. But if Dunk was put in charge, say for the rest of the season, he'd know all the knobheads were. He knows who all the knobheads are. He's been there long enough to know all the knobheads there. Paul says if you got rid of all the knobheads, you'd have 6 players left. There you go. I've said knobhead a lot there. So there you go. Big thank you for watching. Me and Baz will be back. He is in the comments. He is stalking in the comments. We'll be back at 5 o'clock on Patreon. If you haven't joined Patreon, begin early in the month. It's a great time to join. So please go and do that. And you get lots of these every day. Well, you don't get them every day. You get them all week. So there you go. A lot of people, know what, in the comments, a lot of people back Benitez, and I think maybe today, what they've heard from him, they're thinking, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. There you go. I'll be back on Patreon at 5 o'clock with Baz. Thanks for watching. See you all later.